I love you.
Forever.
When Daniel married Grace, he believed love could overcome anything. She was funny, charming, and full of dreams. During their relationship, she always looked confident and put together. But after the wedding, little by little, everything changed. At first, Daniel thought it was simply the stress of adjusting to married life. Everyone has difficult seasons. Everyone needs time, so he stayed patient. Then, weeks became months. Dirty dishes stayed in the sink for days. Laundry piled higher every week. The refrigerator slowly became a collection of forgotten leftovers. Grace constantly promised she would clean later, but later never arrived. Whenever Daniel gently mentioned the mess, she would smile and say, "Life is too short to spend all day cleaning." The first few times he laughed. After the 100th time, nobody was laughing anymore. Grace had created her own philosophy. She believed people worried too much about chores, appearances, and routines. According to her, relaxing was more important than maintaining a home. Unfortunately, relaxing slowly became avoiding responsibility. Daniel never demanded perfection. He didn't expect a spotless house. He simply wanted a partner who cared enough to share the responsibility. Instead, every evening after working long hours, he came home to a house that looked more exhausting than his office. Still, he stayed calm. He washed dishes. He vacuumed floors. He folded laundry. He cooked dinner. He quietly convinced himself that tomorrow would be different. But tomorrow always looked exactly like yesterday. Things became embarrassing outside the house, too. One afternoon, Grace proudly packed Daniel's lunch before work. He was surprised because she rarely offered. He thanked her, kissed her goodbye, and headed to the office with a smile. During lunch, he opened the food container in front of his coworkers. The smile disappeared instantly. A terrible smell escaped the container. The food had spoiled because it had been packed inside an old container that hadn't been properly cleaned. The entire cafeteria noticed. Some coworkers covered their noses. Others moved to another table. Daniel quietly closed the container, threw everything away, and spent the rest of lunch pretending he wasn't hungry. He wasn't angry because of the ruined meal. He was hurt because it showed how little care had gone into something meant to be thoughtful. That evening, he gently explained what happened. Grace simply shrugged. "I thought it would be fine." Those 5 words stayed in Daniel's mind for days. "I thought it would be fine." That sentence seemed to describe everything happening in their marriage. The overflowing trash? She thought it would be fine. The dirty bathroom? She thought it would be fine. The forgotten laundry? She thought it would be fine. Meanwhile, Daniel's mother began noticing the changes. She had always respected her son's privacy and rarely interfered. But during one unexpected visit, she walked into the kitchen and froze. Dirty plates covered the counters. Expired food filled the refrigerator. The sink was overflowing. She looked at Daniel. Then she looked at Grace. Without raising her voice, she simply asked, "Is this really how both of you are living?" Grace laughed awkwardly. "It's just been a busy week." Daniel remained silent. Because it hadn't been 1 week. It had been months. After his mother left, Daniel tried everything. He suggested making a cleaning schedule. Grace agreed. Nothing changed. He bought new storage containers. Nothing changed. He surprised her with beautiful home organizers. Nothing changed. He even offered to clean together every Saturday. She always found an excuse. "I'll do it later." Daniel slowly realized something painful. You cannot help someone who doesn't believe there's a problem. One evening, after another exhausting day at work, Daniel came home earlier than usual. The house looked worse than ever. Clothes covered the furniture. Takeout boxes filled the table. The kitchen sink had become impossible to use. Grace was asleep on the couch while the television played in the background. For several minutes, Daniel simply stood there. Not angry, not shouting, just tired. Very tired. That night, while cleaning alone once again, he made a decision. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't emotional. It was simply practical. The following morning, Grace woke up to find Daniel drinking coffee at the dining table. He smiled. "Can we talk?" She nodded. "I've hired someone." Grace looked confused. "Hired who?" "A professional housekeeper." Grace blinked. "For what?" "To clean the house every week." She smiled. Well, that's actually helpful. Daniel nodded. There's more. He calmly explained that the housekeeper would now manage the cleaning, laundry, and household organization. Since those responsibilities were no longer Grace's, he had reorganized their finances. The money that had previously been set aside for Grace's personal spending would now pay for the housekeeper. He also explained that every personal expense beyond basic household needs would now have to come from each person's own income. Grace stopped smiling. What do you mean? I mean, if you want extra shopping, beauty appointments, hobbies, or anything personal, you'll need to earn that money yourself. Silence filled the room. For the first time, Grace realized Daniel wasn't threatening her. He wasn't punishing her. He was simply refusing to carry every responsibility alone. Within days, the professional cleaner transformed the house. The kitchen sparkled. Fresh sheets covered the beds. The entire home smelled clean. Friends who visited couldn't believe it was the same place. Ironically, Grace now spent every day watching someone else do the work she had refused to do herself. At first, she felt relieved. Then she started feeling uncomfortable. The cleaner worked carefully. She respected every room. She took pride in simple tasks. Watching that level of discipline every week slowly forced Grace to ask herself one difficult question. When did I stop caring? Meanwhile, paying for personal expenses became a challenge. Without extra spending money, Grace realized how dependent she had become. She remembered the online craft business she had started years earlier before giving up. One afternoon, she reopened it. The first week, almost nobody placed an order. She wanted to quit again. But this time she didn't. She kept improving. She learned better marketing. She answered customer messages quickly. She worked consistently. Little by little, orders began arriving. Then referrals followed. Within a few months, her small business was growing faster than she ever imagined. Something else changed too. Having a daily routine naturally improved everything else. She woke up earlier. She kept herself organized. She cleaned small messes before they became big ones. She started taking genuine pride in her appearance again. Not because anyone forced her, because she finally respected herself enough to build better habits. One evening after dinner, she sat beside Daniel. I owe you an apology. He looked at her quietly. I kept thinking everyone was trying to control me. She paused. But the truth is, I had stopped taking responsibility. Daniel listened without interrupting. I made excuses instead of making changes. She smiled sadly. I thought comfort meant doing nothing. It doesn't. It means creating a life you're proud to live. Daniel reached across the table and held her hand. I never wanted perfection. I only wanted a partner. Grace nodded. I know. Real life didn't magically become perfect after that conversation. There were still messy days. There were still forgotten chores. There were still disagreements. But something important had changed. Now both of them were trying. They communicated. They shared responsibilities. They appreciated each other's effort instead of assuming it. Months later, Daniel's mother visited again. She stepped inside. The home felt warm. The kitchen was clean. The living room was peaceful. Most importantly, both Daniel and Grace looked genuinely happy. She smiled. This house finally feels like a home. Grace laughed. It took me longer than it should have, but I finally understood. Years passed, and what began as a quiet act of boundary setting evolved into the foundation of a truly resilient marriage. Daniel and Grace now moved through life with a rhythm that felt both earned and effortless. The housekeeper still came weekly, but her role had shifted from savior to support. Grace now actively participated, treating the cleaning sessions as collaborative opportunities rather than obligations she could dodge. Mornings started with shared coffee and light conversation about the day ahead, while evenings often ended with both of them tidying small things together, turning routine maintenance into moments of connection rather than resentment. Grace's craft business flourished beyond her wildest expectations. What started as a hesitant side project became a thriving online store with loyal customers, custom orders, and even a small team of part-time helpers she managed with the same discipline she once resisted. She found genuine joy in the structure, waking up with purpose, tracking inventory, photographing products with care, and celebrating each sale as proof of her growth. Daniel watched with quiet pride, no longer carrying the emotional weight of being the sole responsible adult in the household. Their finances stabilized beautifully, The separate personal accounts encouraged mutual respect around money, eliminating silent frustrations over spending habits and replacing them with open discussions about goals, dreams, and compromises. They took vacations again, not lavish escapes to mask problems, but intentional trips where they hiked mountain trails, explored new cities, and talked late into the night about everything from childhood memories to future plans. One crisp autumn evening, while sitting on their now immaculate porch watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and gold, Grace turned to Daniel with tears in her eyes and whispered how grateful she was that he hadn't given up on her, even when it would have been easier to walk away.